not nuts is looking at these markets, not nuts looking at this economy. To Charlie Gasparino, who wrote brilliantly on this just today, by the way, the New York Post. We got former New York Congresswoman, Independent Women's Forum's Nan Hayworth, Democratic strategist Michael Starr Hopkins. Charlie, let's go to you, because one of the things you raised was the very real, not crazy response these markets, this economy has had to this supposedly not stable, crazy president.
Right.
We should have more such encounters.
Yeah, his approach to the economy has been very good and very stable, if you think about it.
Right.
Let's just back up a minute. If the corporate tax rate is at 35% and the rest of the world is at 20%, what's unstable about the idea of bringing it down closer to the rest of the world so you become competitive? If businesses are screaming that they can't hire because of too much regulation that was imposed during the Obama years, what's so crazy about loosening that regulation so they might hire again? Contrast that to the very stable, tightly wound President Obama. And think about this. We came out of a financial crisis, which I covered almost like the World Series, even though it was like one of those, when you went to bed at night, you were seeing bread lines. I mean, it was bad. What did President Obama want to do coming out of that? He wanted to raise taxes. He increased regulations. He did all the sort of things that you would do if you did not want the economy to expand. And guess what happened? Well, unemployment nominally, the number went down. Underemployment shot up. Poor people didn't do that well. Middle-class people did lousy.
And it's the president who's crazy.
Rich people, this is the non-crazy president. Rich people benefited like crazy because the stock market went up because the Fed printed so much money. That, in my view, was an insane approach to the economy as opposed to the sane approach of Donald Trump. Now, granted, before I get in trouble here, I have to point out, I do not like his tweets. You and I have called him.
Right.
Listen, when he first ran, I called him a junkyard dog. People around here were like, "What do you don't you know it's Donald Trump? You think he's a junkyard dog?" Yeah, I know this guy for a long time. He does some outrageous stuff. But just look at the economy, approaches to the economy.
I just think that it's another leap to say he's nuts and all.
Oh, that's a whole other
one of the
story,
things
right.
you might also raise when it comes to the tweets, and I'd certainly raise that as well, as in politic remarks about members of his own party who conceivably should treat as friends.
Sure.
Tacky, but not necessarily wacky.
Right. These are matters, as many have said, of aesthetics, Neil. The president definitely has a very different approach from any president in modern memory.
Most human beings, too.
Well, his blunt, but many would argue, you know what? It's a feature, not a bug, because he has been willing.
Well, his popularity would be a lot more if he didn't have those qualities. Because to Charlie's when he's doing all the other stuff,
right?
But all this other stuff is what keeps his numbers.
And I just think people don't like him.
You know what?
Well, I think most people don't like him. For that reason, they do not like him.
Well, but a lot of folks on the left are predisposed not to like him.
This is like 70% of the country.
His approval numbers had dipped up to 40 and all. But go ahead.
I got to say, I want the economy to be doing well. It seems to be doing well.
I don't think you do.
I do. It affects me. It affects you.
Right.
I want it to be doing well, but none of that matters if we're not living up to our own morals.
Do you think the president is nuts? Michael Wolff is saying he's essentially nuts, unstable.
I think he's unstable. I'm not going to pretend to know about his psychological profile, but I think he's certainly unstable.
Well, what Michael Wolff said is that there's an open debate inside the White House.
Which there is. I talked to...
Okay, so just a little background here. I heard about this open debate, and I told you about in last May, okay? I know where I got it from. Now, if there's any reporter that would love to break the story about the open debate in the West Wing about the 25th Amendment being imposed on Trump, it would be me. Now, why didn't I go with that story? And by the way, I told all management here about this because the source list of the open debate was pretty nebulous in a sense. This wasn't.
Well, Wolff says it's everybody.
No. He said he never talked. He said he never talked to Vice President Pence. It wasn't from McMaster's. It wasn't from the people in the cabinet that could get rid of him.
But he is saying that everyone in the staff of the White House thinks that he's
Bannon's people.
So do you think that this was everyone who thinks this?
No, it was the reason why I didn't go with it because I got it from Bannon.
Okay.
Bannon's people. Presumably, it was Steve Bannon who was talking about the 25th Amendment. Now, he may really think that the 25th Amendment should be invoked. Bannon may really think that. But I didn't feel as a reporter I could report it if it's just that guy, who, by the way, has no power to invoke the 25th Amendment. The 25th Amendment has to be done by the cabinet. The vice president obviously has to be involved in that. If
there has to be an internal, it has to start with an internal coup.
It has to be the cabinet.
It has to start with an internal coup.
It can't be Kellyanne Conway.
No,
but it can't be if Steve.
There's no sense. I've done a bit of work with the White House, and from my limited perspective, I have no sense whatsoever that people aren't, frankly, excited about and enthusiastic about what they're accomplishing against stiff odds.
I talked to Republicans, too, inside the White House and inside Congress, who are also scared kind of what the next day will be. Will today be the day that he gets a little too upset and decides to, send a bomb somewhere or do something rhetorically that's going to...
But Bill Clinton had a volcanic temper. This president has a volcanic temper.
I don't think you can compare the two.
What's the difference?
When you look at Nixon, when you look at Bill Clinton...
The media like Bill Clinton, the media hates Donald Trump?
Well, no. I mean, Bill Clinton had his own issues with the media, but he understood history. He was informed. Donald Trump doesn't understand the basic tenets.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
He's not a well-read person. He admits that he's not a well-read person. I think that's
this not well-read person. Believe me, he doesn't like me. But this not well-read person got elected president of the United States. Bill Clinton, who we mentioned, said you can't be an idiot to do that.
No, you can't. And we've talked about. I think that he has good instincts when it comes to how to read people.
Okay, he's a smart guy. Let's be real clear.
I mean,
Donald Trump
can't be that successful without smart.
Listen, it bothers me that he doesn't read.
Absolutely.
A lot. He's anti-intellectual is basically where we are with this guy. And I think now the question is, does that fact that you're unintelligent, not non-intelligent, unintelligent, that you don't want to figure out what's going on next, now, does it ever really catch up to you? I will tell you this. If you look purely on the economic side, it hasn't. This was the most logical response. What Donald Trump is doing right now is exactly what Barack Obama should have done after the financial crisis. And he waited, and the reason why we had 1.3% or something along those lines, average GDP, is because he didn't do these.
But he did enough. He did enough to turn us around. Whether the President Obama got and should get all the credit for that, I'm like you. I would much sooner, credit the Federal Reserve.
I actually don't think he did enough to turn us around.
No.
Well,
he could have done. Absolutely, I agree with you. Could have done more, and I agree. The Federal Reserve propped this up and helped reverse it around. But we usually give presidents the credit for the good or the bad done under their tenure. And I think this bull market, as I said, did start under Barack Obama. It continues right now, albeit at an accelerated pace. But don't you think it is a disservice? I finished this book this weekend, and I was left with the impression, cheap shot, cheap shot, cheap shot, cheap shot.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think the Wolf book is, garden variety gossip. That's absolutely what it is.
It's just entertaining.
It is, but what it does
if you can make your way through it.
It absolutely goes back and
reminds. Way through it. That book was great.
It reminds everyone of what has already been said about Donald Trump.
Oh my God.
So say that again.
So the book
it confirms what you thought,
and not just me, but it confirms what some Republicans privately are saying, what Democrats are saying.
You see, he's right about this, Neil, and I think this is the problem. And it was further confirmed by the president's response following the book, that this is a guy that's unhinged, that acts rashly, that is not rational a lot of times. And then
that doesn't make him,
No, I agree. But
Jack Nicholson from The Shining.
No, I know that. But look what he does. Look what he does. Look what he does right after all that comes out. He basically confirms the guy's thesis with sloppy Steve and all this, and then saying that he's
and
the minute you go out. No, wait a second.
That's not crazy behavior.
He's being
the fake news awards.
He's being.
Oh, come on! I want to see him too. You want to host
president? I would definitely.
The president is being consistent with an approach that has bonded him to.
The minute you say that I'm kind of brilliant or whatever. What did he say?
I'm kind of.
Charles,
I'm a
like. No, it wasn't.
Genius. This is a guy with a sense of humor.
Do you think that said humorously?
This is a guy with a sense of humor. The president. No, the people I know who are at the top echelons of the people who work with him, what they express is, can't believe the nonsense that's going on outside this White House.
Well, a lot of it he feeds, but I think it is a leap
because they say, look, everything,
as Wolf does to characterize.
They say he's putting the right policies in place. He's doing the right things. We're not surprised that things are going well.
But this has happened before, guys. I want to bring Brent Bozell in the